go.
What's up, Dre? Dre in the
I'm
building.
good.
Rochelle in the
I'm
building.
good.
Gwan, Dre.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Can't complain. I just cheated death. Thank the Lord. Thank the good Lord.
Wow.
Yes. On a
No lie.
Right.
No lie. This car went out of control in front of me. Went sideways on the highway while I'm doing 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I had to go over on the on the shoulder. Thank goodness nothing happened to my car, because hitting the shoulder at 70 miles an hour.
Not nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it snowing where you are, Dre?
It was. It's not snowing right now, but it was snowing when it happened. That's why I didn't hit my brake, because the snow was snowing. That's why the back car lost control, because the road was slippery. And I was like, it ain't gonna be the two of us.
Right.
Yeah. Rochelle, how was your turkey day?
Oh, it was amazing. It was so good. I didn't have turkey, by the way, but my food day was really good. I had everything else but turkey this year.
What you like, cranberry, homemade cranberry, or cranberry out the can? Cranberry sauce.
Anybody got time to make no homemade cranberry? I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Anybody got time for that?
That's
Everything
funny.
else will be homemade, but no, I don't even like cranberry sauce that much to be making it homemade. Mac and cheese, of course, from scratch, homemade, baked, not on no stove top. Everything else made from scratch. Jerk chicken made outside on the grill. Yes, everything else, but not no homemade cranberry.
Right.
What about you?
Yo, bro, Rochelle, jerk chicken is the bomb, bro.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
But Ali don't know nothing about that. Ali know about jerk tofu.
Yo,
So I'm gonna make you some jerk tofu, Ali.
I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. I just edited pictures, because that's what I do.
But that's why I didn't say Thanksgiving. I said food day. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, right? I celebrate the food, because I'm only there for food.
You want to tell them why you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, Ali, or you want to keep it first?
I just feel like I know what it started on. It started on rape and pillaging, much like the topic we're going to discuss today, right, Drake?
Gotcha. Oh, so you don't have a personal reason why you don't celebrate Thanksgiving?
My father's allegedly Native American, and I feel that I know how it started. It was I don't know if this is true, but it's alleged that it was a day where Christopher Columbus and his people were having a feast with the Indians before they tricked them and raped and pillaged them, and would go on to kill off the majority of their existence.
Yeah, but I'm asking you if the reason you don't celebrate it is because of your lineage, or you just don't because of the historical context. But it looks like it's history, not your lineage. So it's okay. It's all right. No problem.
It's both. I would say it's both. I can pull that out of Native American. I identify as a Native American, Jamaican, and African. Yes, Muslim confusion.
So I got to start calling you Ali Blackhorn,
and
Ali Redfoot.
Nah, you're not even ready for this. We the real Jews too, but that's for another subject.
Damn, so Ali, you all right, let's get on the subject, because we can go crazy.
We are the chosen people. We are the chosen people.
All right. Let's get we ain't even introduced the topic yet, so let's do that. So what we talking about today, Mr. Redfoot?
Yo, well, today is a serious topic, and it's a very serious topic, and we're going to take our take on it, which is we're going to talk about rape. We're going to talk about the, I think we should talk about also what happened with the pastor. You know what I mean? And what he said.
We could do that. But yeah, rape. What's your opinion on rape, Baba? Baba Redfoot.
My opinion is it is terrible. And I'm not sure if a woman can do it to a man. But I know that women can probably drug men. And I think it mostly happens in the way of men towards women because they have more power. And there's something called incels too, involuntarily celibate, which is men who are just unable to get cootie cat no matter how much they try because they just don't have the social skills. And those people are a problem in society. What's your feeling?
Those people are rapers, are like potential rapers?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. We got to figure out what to do with the incels. Involuntarily celibate, because there's way more women out here. So I'm not getting on when there's way more women out here than men.
Gotcha. Rochelle, are you a Native American as well? Do I need to give you the chief name? Oh, okay.
No. So I'm going to disagree with Ali on a few points. I believe anybody can be raped. I believe if you say no and it continues, then obviously you are doing something out of your consent, and therefore that is considered rape. Does society view men being raped by women? I think if I heard a story about a man who went into the police station and said he was raped, and the police officers, they basically laugh at him and say, you should be happy, like go home, like you should be like rejoicing, like what are you doing, right? And I remember in Jamaica a couple of years ago, they had, I think it was 2 or 3 women that were literally raping taxi men and just like random men at gunpoint. And a lot of people were just like, y'all should be happy that this is happening because some of y'all didn't get nothing for the longest time. Now you're actually getting something, y'all mad, right? But I think like just as how women can be raped, right? Men can be raped, boys. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of young men in our society have been raped, like that their first experience was one of rape, but they don't even see it as rape because we actually rejoice in that and say, oh my gosh, now you become a man. Now you have crossed that threshold where you can now go out and, plant your royal oats. So I think this is a big topic that we don't even understand the gravity of it right now.
Dre?
So I agree with both of you guys. I put less weight on a man complaining that he was raped than I do on a woman saying that she was raped. Now, the instance, I don't know where Rochelle be finding these things. Like, the instance Rochelle brought up where these women are raping men at gunpoint, I don't even know why someone would need to do that, because all they have to do is say, you want some, and 9 out of 10 guys they know probably would. So I don't know why. I don't know, maybe it's for effect. I don't know if she made that joint up. But yes, I would then consider that rape, like a woman raping a man, if she did it at gunpoint. Because now the man wasn't really interested probably, and now he has to focus on the pressure of the gun to perform, or I don't know, whatever. I'm being facetious here, but
some ugly woman that.
You now go down the road with your barber, but yeah. So in those terms, I would then consider a woman raping a man a valid claim if it was under duress, and I'm talking about like violent duress. Now, as it relates to kids, in most cases, I think an adult having sex with a kid is child molestation. But there is a gray area for me. If a young man is having sex with an older woman, and he wanted it, even if the age isn't legal, I don't consider it rape because he wanted it, it was consensual, and there's something he wanted. I know the law is different, but I know how I was as a kid and I know how I am as a man. If some older woman allowed me to exercise my loins as a younger kid, I mean, everyone would look at that as like a badge of respect. Not only did you pick your cherry, right? But you did it with an older woman. That's like a badge of honor almost. So that's the way I look at it. Now, I could be wrong, right? But that's the way I look at it. And that's how I take, that's my concept of rape. Like Rochelle brought up an instance where some kid, you remember that instance, Rochelle? Where the guy was talking about, you know, how he lost his virginity at a young age. Mm-hmm. And everyone was telling him he got raped. And I'm like, how the hell are you going to tell the guy he got raped? He knew what he was doing. How? You can't tell somebody you cannot. Rape. Okay, maybe I don't understand what rape is. I thought rape is forcibly or taking something from a person without their consent. I thought that was what rape was.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Do you remember? Okay. So do you remember the story of the teacher who slept with the 14-year-old boy? Do you remember that story?
Yes.
And okay, so he wanted it. Exactly, right? He wanted it. But
yes, so then it's not rape.
But it was rape because he cannot give consent because he's 14 years old.
What the hell are you talking about? He can't get. If that kid shot someone, they're charging him as an adult. So don't tell me he can't give consent.
I agree with you. I am telling you, by law, this is the law. This does not mean making it up.
Yes.
This is fact.
So in terms of the law, again, we talk about this, you know, in a box concept that always don't work. So in terms of the law, yes, the law says if a child is X age and an adult have sex with them, in order to adjudicate the law, right, they have to make in order to protect people, they make these laws, right? Because there are people out there who don't want it, and it happens to them, right? But for the folks that do want it, I don't think the law should overstep. Because that kid, I mean, like you said, he wanted it. How can it be? If the definition of rape is taking something from me without my consent, and this is something I wanted, how can it be rape? It can't be rape. But I understand the difference between what is and what the law says, and oftentimes there is a difference between reality and what the law says. So, but yeah, I don't agree. If a kid, but if it's a female, again, it's a double standard. I know. It's a double standard. If it's a female, I think differently, because back to our subject that we've been having, it's more women out there than men. So if you're a grown man and it's 10, 20 to 1, why the hell are you messing with a little kid? You're a pedophile, right? But if it's a little boy and he wants to do it, right, and the teacher or whoever the adult is wants to do it as well, free willy, baby, free willy.
Because I think they even got married after she came out of prison. He was 18, and they have a couple more kids to this day.
So the woman went to jail for no reason.
Well, in the eyes of the court, it's not no reason. He's a minor, and a minor cannot give consent, right?
Yeah, but you're saying in the eyes of the court, but you also agree. Go ahead behind the court now. We're talking about what you agree with.
Hold on, Andre. Hold on. So are you telling me that children always know what's best for them? Hold on. Are you saying to me that children always know what's best for them? A lot of times children want things that is not good for them. And therefore, we as the responsible adults in the room, well, hopefully we are the responsible adult in the room, can say, listen, this was something that was done against you, right? And this is something that you weren't ready for. You don't?
I don't agree with that. Nope.
Okay. But I know that I have seen very big, thick, but very immature teenagers who you would think they would know what's good for them, that they would know what they want. And sometimes you as the adult in the room have to be the rational one and say, yo, stop being a hot mess. Like, what you're doing, it don't make no sense, right? So just because you want something, just because whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. So I agree with the court.
So I know you agree with the court, but you were just hiding behind it. We want to know what you think. I don't care about what the court's saying. We already know what the court's saying. Now,
I'm telling you,
you can't use a general statement for everything. Now, there are a 17-year-old kid who is just hitting 15, 17, whatever, hitting puberty. You don't buy that kid a Ferrari, even though he might want a Ferrari, because there's a high likelihood that it's a high likelihood he don't know how to drive. He doesn't know how to drive, right? And so he's going to get on the road and that car might kill him. So a responsible parent isn't going to go and buy their 17-year-old a Ferrari because there's a high likelihood this is not a good gift for your child, right? But a 17-year-old kid who probably, in America, he's probably been taught sex ed forever, right? Probably the last couple of years he's been taught sex ed. So this kid is exposed to sex already. Yeah, hey son, at what age? So okay, let me not say 17. What age was the kid? 14?
He was 14, yes.
Okay. So at 14, I'm gonna say to my son, you really should not have been thinking about doing this kind of stuff, because you just passed 10. You were 10 4 years ago, right? But I get it. Let's just hold off. Let's hold off and wait till you're older, because the ramifications of you having sex at 14 is high, right? Like you can get a woman pregnant and now you're a 14-year-old dad. You don't even have a job. You don't live anywhere. You live in my house. So I would have this discussion with my son differently than I'm going to have the discussion with my daughter. And as we mentioned in a past episode, the ramifications of sex for a man is different than the ramifications for a woman. Yes, it's a double standard. But as it relates to rape and minors, if it's a boy, 14 years old, and he wanted it, that's not rape. Now, if he didn't want it and she held him down and took it from him, then it's rape, because she took it from him without him willingly giving it to her. Manipulation or not, that's just my opinion. Baba, what y'all say?
I agree with you, Dre, about it not being as bad as a boy doing it as a girl. And that's just because of, when you think about, we as men and women we're equal in value, but not equal in function. So the idea of a grown man going into a younger girl is more dangerous from just a physical standpoint than it is for a teacher to go on a young boy. You know what I mean? So I understand that. And at the same time, as a person who has been molested before, not penetrated, but molested at 11, it takes away the innocence of a boy or a girl. It takes away your innocence. I just wanted to play with toys at the time. I wasn't thinking about no girls, no sex, and it takes away your innocence and it kind of rushes your life. And especially if you're with an older woman, it can turn into something where she's not only teaching you about sexual things, but she is manipulating you in ways like, yo, eat my, you know what I mean? Yo, I'm gonna put my finger in your, and you're such a young child that you're not even aware, and then next thing you know, you're addicted to porn as a young boy, and you just are unable to stop masturbating. I'm not saying this is my personal story, but I'm saying in the terms of yeah, I did. But yeah, like rushing a child being raised up, and my daughter has a cell phone at 9 right now. Her mom gave her one, and it's like, yo, let the children be children, yo. Just like let them be kids. Though let's not rush them because they have their whole life to have sex and get bored of it. And life is bigger than that. If I could tell my daughter or my younger self now, I would tell myself, yo, have sex with 5 people at max in your whole life, because sex is so important and you need to do it with the right people and you need to really know them inside and out before you just give them your body. You know? So
I'm confused.
So hold on, because I'm going to say something right now. Ali, you are literally disagreeing with everything Dre said. Because I agree. Hold on. You are literally agreeing with me and saying when children are rushed, right? You may think you're ready. Your body may tell you you're ready, but the effect it has on your mind, the long-lasting effect it has on you. You have men right now that still cannot commit to a woman because he was molested and he doesn't know and he doesn't understand the ramification he has because his older woman took advantage of him when he was much younger. You have to understand, a lot of men in our society, hold on, Dre, a lot of men in our society today are facing problems in their relationship because a lot of them were molested and they do not even understand what is going on mentally in their mind.
Well, how you know? How you know? How you know? If he don't know, how you know?
Hold on. So can I answer? How do I know? Because you have to understand, just like what Ali said, right? When you take that innocence from that child, you now get rushed into an area of your life that you were never ready for. And because you were never ready for it, you were never mentally able to access certain things that only come with time, that only come with maturity. And not exactly. Basically, right? And then hold on. So now you're 30 and you're 40, you're in your 30s and you're like, why can't I settle down? Why can't I just be faithful to this one woman? Why is it that I have such problem communicating with my partner? Why do I have such problem trusting? A lot of men are going through that. I spoke to a psychologist yesterday. Hold on. I spoke to a psychologist yesterday and she said the amount of clients that she had, black, white, purple, blue, everybody. And a lot of them came in and they were having that problem. Even if they were married, there were parts of them that they would never open up to their partner because of the damage that was done much, much earlier. Because what? Majority of those men lost their virginity and they did not want to give it up like that.
Yeah. All right. So again, you just proved my point. You said the majority of those men lost their virginity and they didn't want to give it up. Now, I said to you, if that is the case, then that child was raped. If you wanted to give, so obviously, the way your mind processes things is different based on your interpretation of what it is you are experiencing. If you did not want to have sex with this individual and you were forced to have sex with this individual, the way your mind is going to process that interaction is different than if you were excited about this act and it happens to you. Now, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, so I don't know what are all of the ramifications for a 14-year-old having sex with a 19-year-old or 25-year-old. I don't know all of those ramifications. All I know is that it is highly unlikely that a 14-year-old who is excited about this sexual experience is going to have the same kind of reaction to the sexual interaction like a 14-year-old who did not want to have this situation happen to them. That said, yes, there are men who are scarred because they had sex at a young age and they were taken advantage of, right? But I'm saying, issues that you're referring to, a lot of men have these issues not because they were molested, because men cheat. There are a large portion of men out there who feel like they're not supposed to have one woman. So whether they were molested or not, there are a lot of men out there who cheat, who cheat without control, right? It's hard for them to control themselves, and they just cheat arbitrarily. They just cheat, and don't want to exercise the control over themselves without being molested. Right? And so you're saying, oh, because so many men do this, it's because a lot of them got molested? There are a lot of men out there who also feel like, I forget what was the other thing you said? There's they cheat. Oh, the committing thing. The reason a lot of men don't commit also is because they are cheaters. Cheaters always place their guilt from what they're doing onto the woman that they're with, even if the woman doesn't cheat at all. So one, they feel like innately, I gotta have a bunch of women. And two, because of the psychology of a cheater, right? They can't trust and date because they know, look, I'm cheating on her and she don't even know. What could she be doing to me that I don't know? So they always treat the woman as though she could be cheating. Right? And so they don't want to commit. I have a hard time automatically bestowing this guilt or these actions on sexual molestation. Men are men, and men do some things. Obviously, not all men, but there are some men that they do things that it's just a lot of when it comes to the population of men, a lot of men have multiple partners. And because you have multiple partners, by osmosis, you doing these acts cause you to develop a mistrust in people because you know what you're doing to people. It has nothing to do with no damn they got molested. Give me a break. Now there could be a segment of the people that have this happen to them, and this is their story, but I don't think it's the majority. Ali, what do you think?
Repeat the question again. What was the question?
No, we're not. It wasn't a question. We're just having a conversation.
Oh, okay. I was sorry. I was thinking about the next question I was gonna ask, but what were we talking about?
Ask it.
Okay. So I wanted to know, we all grew up in church, I believe, right, Rochelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, so recently there was a pastor of a church that Dre and I went to. I don't want to say his name, but he said some comments about rape, and I'm going to insert that right here.
Wives, you must submit yourself to your husband as unto the Lord. And in this matter of submission, I want you to know up front, ladies, that once you get married, you are no longer your own. You are your husband's. You understand what I'm saying, Carly? emphasize that because I saw in court the other day on TV where a lady sued her husband for rape. And I would say to you, gentlemen, the best person to rape is your wife. But then now it has become legalized, rape. I don't understand how you belong to somebody and they are...
So how do you guys feel about what this pastor just said?
Okay, so I believe that the majority of the older generation, especially not the women, but the men, they have always felt like they own their wives. They always felt like their wives were their property. And therefore, whatever they did to the wives was okay. Right? And I believe that this pastor has come from that generation. Is he one in a million person to think that way? No, I think it was the culture of him, of this, not necessarily his church, but of our church, right? And maybe not even our church, but maybe the church in general, where men feel like their wives are their property, and therefore I can do whatever I want with my property. Therefore, I can never rape my wife because I cannot rape what is mine. It's like I cannot steal my own car because it's my car, right?
Are there Bible
Absolutely
verses
not.
to back that up? His thinking process?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
What do you think
Dre?
about that, Ali?
I want to hear what Dre thinks. What do you think about what the pastor said, Dre?
I agree with Rochelle wholeheartedly. I get a round of applause for this. I agree with Rochelle wholeheartedly.
The first.
Yeah. I think she's right. I think there was a pervasive culture of accepting rape. I disagree with her on this point. The women also accepted the rape, and
that is true.
And played a role in facilitating a lot of the rapes that happened historically. Helped to facilitate this culture of rape, because when a woman would have their experience and they would go and tell one of the elder females, they would almost tell them, yeah, it's us men, or I don't know what excuses they would tell women, but they would play a role in hushing it up. This pastor who said what he said, women were calling. So the reason this thing blew up the way it did is because the young people, young women, and I'm going to guess some young men also had an issue with what he said, right? And there were older women calling the parents of the young kids, telling them to tell these kids stop making a big deal about it. Let me repeat that. There were older women calling the parents of some of these young kids that were making a big deal about the absurdity that was said, right? Calling their parents, telling them to tell their kids to stop making a big deal out of it. Now look, the guy did not rape anybody in this act. I don't know what he has done in his past, but in this situation, it's not the equivalent to him raping someone, right? But he is the leader of a flock, and I don't think this culture is a church exclusive thing. I think it's society in general. So let me state my opinion on that as well. I don't think it's exclusively in church. I think it's societally, because there are a lot of people who recount of uncles raping nieces in their families, and they have nothing to do with church. So let me just get that out there. Now, as it relates to this incident, I don't think he should go to jail. Obviously, he didn't commit a crime. But I do think he did not exercise proper judgment in his role as the pastor of a church when he's espousing certain things. Yeah. Right? And so there is a consequence, And I always say this, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. Because he said what he said, there's a consequence to it, and he had to pay the consequence, right? But as it relates to rape and rape culture, I think I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it then, and I don't agree with it now. Now, I don't know how I feel about adjudicating something 30 years later, and I'm bringing this up because of instances like Bill Cosby, right? Not Bill Cosby, but instances like Bill Cosby, where the woman was raped 30 years ago, and 30 years later is when she comes forward. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like she shouldn't, and I don't feel like I know how she should, because it's been 30 years, right? I think between the time it happened and 30 years, you should have mustered up some courage, right? That's one. And two, the reason I'm saying not Bill Cosby situation is because Bill Cosby was drugging people. That's what I'm hearing he did. He was drugging people, knocking them out, and taking advantage of them. So his situation is completely rape. I don't have no remorse or pity about what he had to endure for his situation, because whether or not it was the culture of people taking drugs at the time, it's obvious he intentionally was drugging folk, right, and taking advantage of them. So that's a separate situation. I'm talking about people who was forcibly raped, right, and they waited 30 years to go to the authorities. I feel like, now, if you got raped, it's the person is now 50-something years old. They probably felt bad about it. You dig what I'm saying? And never did it again. Like, the time to bring that stuff up is 5, 10, even 15 years later. Bring that stuff up then. You wait 30 years, it's like, I got kids now. I got all these other things, and that was, I don't know if it's the first time or whatever. But I'm probably digging myself into a hole here. But I just feel like...
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Say that again. What is that? Sure.
There's something called Stockholm Syndrome. In Stockholm, there was a case where a man robbed a bank, and the victims who he held in the bank as hostages, by the end of the night or the end of the time in which he was trying to leave and make his escape, the victims were protecting him. The same person that put their lives in jeopardy, they ended up protecting. When I was 11, I got molested by a guy that was 5 years older than me and my family. And it took me 20 years to tell my family because I had Stockholm Syndrome. I wanted to protect him. I didn't want him to lose his job. I didn't want anything to happen to him. So that's a real thing. I don't think there's a time allotment on when you can come out with something. Back to the pastor, I would say that we are constantly in this newer after 2010. We are constantly in a situation where we are comparing older standards to new time. So, for example, when me and Dre was growing up, I wore skinny jeans that had a huge cuff on them. And to me, I thought I was cool, but at the time, baggy jeans was in. You know what I mean? And people kind of laughed at me for having on these jeans, and they had a big cuff. I'm not gonna front, it was a little wild at the time. But basically, when I was wearing skinny jeans, everybody was saying, "Yo, you gay. You're gay because you were in skinny jeans." At the time in 2002, 2003, when people was wearing baggy jeans. Now it's completely acceptable. Now men are wearing nail polish that are allegedly straight and belly shirts and they're allegedly straight. And to me, it's like, whoa, what's going on? So I think there's always going to be this weird thing when we judge the past based on today's standards. But, you know, there's always a universal truth, and what's right has always been right, and what's wrong has always been wrong. I think that the Bible, there's a verse that I was sent, 1 Corinthians 7, verse 4. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. I've heard in church.
No. Sorry for interjecting. I don't want to cut you. Read the next verse.
Verse 5 says, do not deprive one another except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourself to prayer, but then can come together again, so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. Okay, so if we just isolate that verse, then it can be taken out of context. But I see what you're saying, Dre.
Yeah.
If you watch Dancehall Queen, the movie, in the first opening scenes, it's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. It's about, spoiler alert, it's about a little girl who is getting advancements by a man who is helping her mom to pay the bills. And she tells her mom, like, yo, this man is trying to mess with me and have sex with me as a young little secondary schooler. And the mom is like, basically, what you want me to do? Am I help out with the bills? And that is a crazy culture that we come from, especially, you know what I mean, coming from Jamaican parents and such. Yeah, so my take on it is that the Bible can sometimes be misinterpreted, and it can be interpreted by men in any way that they see fit based on their comprehension and knowledge. I've heard somebody say a woman is never supposed to deny your sex if you're married to her. You know? In church, I'm saying.
If you're in a healthy marriage,
yeah.
If you're in a healthy marriage, that stuff wouldn't happen. But again, there are times when you're pissed at her, she's pissed at you, and you know it's hard to get yourself in that situation where you want to go there with, even if it's your husband, you want to go there with the guy, and for him to then take advantage of her, you know, overpowering her, or whatever it is, most likely will be overpowering her. So I guess even if it's not overpowering her, knowing that she don't want to and you go take it, right?
Yeah.
That's wrong. That's not conducive in a healthy relationship. That's not a part of what happens in a healthy relationship.
Do I think the pastor was wrong for what he said? Yes. Do I think that he should be condemned? No. I think he needs to be re-educated. I'm not super mad at him for what he said. It's just that he needs to be re-educated. It's, you know what I mean? It's like he just needs to be re-educated. I'm not mad at him. Yes, he probably should have lost his job because he's leading other people, and some little boys will take what he said and be like, okay, I'm going to apply this to my life. And that is where it's wrong. Now, let me ask you guys another question. It is said now by lawyers that if a woman has 2 or more drinks and you've never had sex with her, or even if you have had sex with her, but you don't really know her like that and she's not your woman or something, if she has 2 or more drinks, she is not mentally and physically capable of telling you that she wants to have sex, and therefore that is considered rape. How do you guys feel about that? And versus growing up and what you've learned growing up and stuff like that.
So I think that everybody's tolerance level is different. right? So it could be somebody, it could be one drink, and that person is not able to even give consent. It depends on how strong you are, right? And as women, we have to take responsibility in terms of when you're going out, make sure you're conscious. You can't decide to go out, whether with girls or guys, and say, yo, I'm just going to go over here and just drink and just, no, you still have to be cognizant of the fact that this is real life. And you have to first be respect, have respect for yourself. Like, I'm not going to go somewhere and drink and then not being able to tell you what happened the next day. That's the first thing. So I'm going to take responsibility. The second thing is, if she's drugged, that's a whole different story altogether. So I don't think we should put a number on it.
No, we're just talking about alcohol right now.
Yeah, no,
oh, you said if she's young. I thought you said if she's drugged.
No, okay. Not young. Like, everybody, like, if I smell liquor, I am drunk. Like, I'm done. I don't even have to drink it. I smell it, I'm done. So I know who I am. And I think everybody needs to know who they are and just make sure you are taking all the steps that you need to take to protect yourself, right? Yeah. So maybe it's not to drink. Maybe I have a friend who she can drink a whole bottle of JB and nothing. She can drive, she can do everything because she has such a high tolerance for alcohol. And if I smell that same alcohol, oh my God, I'm done. So it just depends on who you are. I don't think we should be putting a limit or a number on that.
Yeah. Okay. And Dre, I was just asking about younger because when I was younger, I would hear that, yo, girls are so easy to have sex with. All you have to do is get them drunk. Dre, what do you think about that? A woman, whether she says yes or no, if she's had too much to drink, it should be a no. And versus what you learned growing up and stuff.
So I want to step back a little bit. And I want to talk about something you just said. You mentioned just now that you were molested when you were younger, right? And you felt like you had Stockholm syndrome. As it relates to that kind of situation, and obviously every person is different, I believe that everyone has someone in their life that they should be able to take certain things to. If it's not your mom or your dad, it's your uncle, it's somebody. When you feel like, hey, this thing happened to me and it wasn't cool, everyone should have someone like that they have that they can talk to. Right? Now, even if it ain't in your family and it's not some like a elder person that you know, or a brother or a sister, you still have the cops. You still have the cops you can go to say, hey, X, Y, and Z have now look, once you report it, there is a whole other element that, I don't want to go into right now. You have to prove it and all these different things, right? But to say I was afraid for 30 years to tell somebody that
20.
This injustice happened to me, well, in your case, 20, however long. I'm just saying, to say for however long I was afraid, 20 years, after a year, that person, chances are, probably forgot. And go tell the cops because somebody got to know. It can't be just with you. You dig what I'm saying? That's the way I feel. That's why I feel the way I feel. You could pump me.
But Dre, you have to understand that when you're violated in such a way, the trauma that could happen to you, it's not just so clear cut, right?
It's
so you
embarrassing for men. It's embarrassing.
Exactly. And now
Number
this is
two,
something. Why did this happen to me? How am I going to face myself? So it's a whole barrage of things.
Yeah,
that
let me
is
say something.
Hold on, Alex. Hold on. I am not saying all these things aren't facts, are not elements. I'm saying after you've had time, right?
Yeah.
But how do you know how much time is time?
I don't know
how much time.
It can't be 20 years. It can't be 30 years.
How do you know that? Everybody deals with things
Come
differently.
on.
You can't put a time on it though. You cannot.
You're right. I can only talk for me.
Right.
You're right. Everybody's different. I'm just saying. I think it's crazy for something to happen to you where you feel so strongly about, and it took you 30 years. If you piss me off, and I'm scared that you're gonna kill me, right? I'm gonna go take self-defense classes. I might not come and check you right away. I'm gonna take self-defense classes. I might even go get a gun, get a permit to carry a gun. But ain't no goddamn way it's gonna take me 20 years to come back at you.
Well,
no
let
way.
me tell you something, Dre. There's 4 things. The first thing is when you're young and you don't understand sexuality, it can be complicated. For one, it's embarrassing for a man to say, yo, another man played with me. The second thing is Stockholm Syndrome, which I talked about, where
you don't have to explain it. You did already.
Yeah, this guy actually told me, yo, you got to think about this to a child too. He said, yo, there's nothing wrong with what we're doing and you don't have to tell anybody. So not only do sometimes these molesters and rapists just take what's not theirs, they groom you also.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, what is thirdly? Thirdly, they can threaten your life, and it doesn't have to be like, yo, I'm going to get you. Yo, if you tell anybody this, I'm going to have somebody murder you. And this way you don't know which way it's coming, no matter which self-defense class you get. You just afraid for your life because now you don't know who the target is.
Ali,
yeah.
Again,
yeah.
I understand those elements.
Yeah.
The embarrassment still is there when you do it 20 years later. The threat is still real when you do it 20 years later. So all of the things you're saying is the reason it took you 20 or 30 years. All of that stuff still is real 20 or 30 years later.
But you are a different person because you're 20 years older and not 14 or 7.
I'm not going to lie to you. I was never going to tell on him to my family until I took mushrooms in Mexico.
Yep.
And when I took mushrooms in Mexico, I met this most beautiful Caucasian woman ever on the beach. And she told me about how she was with a man for so many years, had 2 kids with him, and he left her for a younger nurse. He was a doctor, and he left her for a younger nurse with 2 kids and took her away from her family. And she just told me how distraught she was and how it ruined her life. And for some reason, that unlocked something in me to say, yo, this nigga had you on the Stockholm Syndrome, and you need to let and protect other kids from this happening to. You need to now be a public servant and let people know, like, yo, you got to talk to your kids about protecting themselves. You have to talk to your kids about nobody should touch them. You have to not be so strict with your kids that they're afraid to come to you when something crazy has happened. They have to have some sort of comfortability with you to be able to come to you. For me, that was nobody, and not even the cops. That was nobody for me and my family. Nobody I felt safe going to.
Well, when you told me what I said to you, well, don't even say what I said. When you told me how did I interact with you and how was the exchange? It was accepted and supported, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
And if you had told me this 10 years ago, it would still be this. There is no way in. Look, wrong is wrong and right is right. Right? Wrong is wrong, right is right. There's no way. No. Period. Rape was wrong back in the day when these people were covering it up. and forcing people to accept it.
But getting a girl drunk to have sex
with her was no. You see, again, let's go back to the beginning. When I said, just because the law says it's illegal for an older woman to have sex with a 14-year-old, I don't think it's wrong if the 14-year-old wants it. The same thing for me, right? I don't drink, right? So getting a girl drunk or giving her alcohol in exchange for sex, I find that despicable, right? Because her senses are dulling. It's for all intents and purposes, what's the difference between getting a girl drunk for sex than giving her drugs to knock her out for sex? What's the difference? It's the same thing. So I don't even care if it's one drink, the law says. I am not going to intentionally get you inebriated with my plans to have sex with you. We both need to be cognizant of what's going on. Yeah. Now, there are some people who love drunk sex. That's for them. I'm just saying, for me, that never even crossed my mind because I know it's taking advantage of a person. And maybe I was traumatized. Maybe I was traumatized when I was younger, right? I'll give you my since everybody got their trauma experience, I'll give you mine. So I was in class, right? And there was a girl, she lived across the street from me. We had the same class in high school. And my perspective was what it is now before even then. But we're in class and she's having the meanest attitude, right? And, she snapped at me, or she was snapping at whoever. I don't know who she was snapping at. Let's just say it was me. And I was just like, oh, she must be on her period, right? I now know that was wrong. At the time, I didn't know it was an issue. So one day, a day or two later, I go to school. I check in my ID. They tell me I gotta go to see the head of a department's office because I'm suspended. I'm like, suspended? I ain't doing nothing. But I'm suspended. You gotta go get your dad. So I go home. I get my dad. He wakes up out of his sleep and he comes to school. And now I'm mad because my dad works hard. He works at night. Now I gotta go wake this dude up, take him to my school. The whole spiel. He gets to school, and this woman, the head of the department, says, your son is suspended because he was talking about someone's menstrual cycle. And I'm like, what? You lying. I don't even know what that is. Now, obviously, I know now. At the time, I'm like, I never said that. And I know I never said that because I don't know what that is. So my dad looks at me, he's like, you serious right now, Jay? I'm like, yeah, she lying. I never said that. So he said, oh, it's somebody's period. I said, oh, and that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me. What happened? And I said, oh, yes, that's true. I did mention. But it was a joke. I wasn't trying to insult the girl. I guess it was insulting, but whatever. And so the woman says that she was thinking about sending me to jail for this. And I'm like, you for real? Now, this is a Jamaican woman, This is a Jamaican woman. At the time, I'm in high school, so I'm like 16, 17. And you're ready to send me to jail for a statement in passing. And at that point, I realized... That's where the
real rape happened.
Of who? Who got raped?
I said, and jail is where the real rape happened.
Exactly. Now, at that point, I'm like, oh, holy crap. This kind of stuff is serious. And at those ages, I am now like, yo, I am making sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed when it comes to women.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why when you asked me how come I didn't get any girls pregnant and blah, 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 how come all of this kind of stuff, from an early age, I got scared, right? And I made sure that every I was dotted and T's was crossed with me. So that's why when this pastor said what he said, even though he didn't commit a crime, right? Even though he didn't commit a crime, I took that joint serious because the implication of what he's saying and what he said highlighted a bunch of things that women, injustices that women had to go through, right? I don't like to, look, I got 2 daughters, right? If my daughter tells me at 35, 45 years, tells me that when she was 7, some dude molested her, I would be furious at my daughter. I would be furious at my daughter. Because, honey, you had when you were 8, 9, 10, 5. You're still a baby. You're still a kid, right? When you were 20, when you were 15, when you now know that what happened was wrong, you could have told me. You could have told me, and I would have been there with you at the police to report this, even if they can't prosecute it because it's however long ago. But there is no way this guy gets to do this injustice, and it goes unsaid. I would be, right. No, obviously, if she tells me at 30 or 40, I'm still supporting her. But 2 things can happen at the same time. I'm supporting you, but at the same time, I'm mad that you took this long to tell me.
It's about how comfortable you make your child feel, though. Can they come to you and tell you about anything, or will you be like, yo, stop the foolishness and don't talk to me about dumb things? You know what I mean?
Nah.
Because
No.
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying in general, the comfortability that the child has with the parent matters. You get me?
That plays a huge role. And also, too, sometimes the kid can be protecting you by not telling you. Because if they know you have such a, let's say they know, like, yo, if I tell my dad, he going to definitely go over there and kill this man. And I don't want to put my dad in that position. So sometimes, hold on, Dre,
think like
Dre, like, it's not about what you think. It's what is actually happening. I've known people who have not told their parents because they know my dad has such a big, listen, my dad, he has a short temper. And I know if I tell him this went down, he will go over to that guy right now and shoot him in his face, right? Or just kill him or whatever. And therefore, again, it's not Stockholm syndrome, but you're like, I don't want to lose my dad because of this. Or it could be somebody in the family and you're like, I don't want to separate the family. I heard a story about this guy that was raped by an older woman. And when he went and told his mom, the mom laughed. And that man, like, he felt so betrayed. He felt like, wow, I just told you my truth and this is how I'm treated. So definitely you should have a support system, but not many people have that.
I know so many girls that have been raped or molested and have not told their parents. Mm-hmm. And when they're older, friends, they haven't told their parents because they're like, all right, so much time has gone by. You know? But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys, going back to the alcohol thing, because this is something that is kind of new knowledge. So, Dre, if you say you're single and you take a girl out and she gets drunk and she wants to have sex with you, and I'm posing the same question to you, Rochelle. Say you're that girl that gets drunk and you want to have sex. Should you tell the girl no, and Rochelle, should the guy tell you no?
All right. So I don't drink. So I'm going to have to think outside of what
No, you don't get drunk. She gets drunk, not you.
Nah, so if she's drunk, I'm not doing it.
Okay, and Rochelle? You really want it. The woman wants it. Even though it's the first time. But she's drunk.
You're talking to me?
You think? No, Rochelle.
Oh. But the thing is, like, again, do I want it because I'm drunk? Or is it because if I want something, why would I get drunk to then say I want it? You know what I'm saying? I can do that with a clear head. But
so I heard
that.
I heard of a girl who she was going to give the guy, she was going to have sex with the guy, right? But she wasn't ready yet. And then it happened. You know, it happened. So is it rape? She was going to do it. But, you know, she got drunk. They, you know, and it went there. I mean, look, my opinion is, and let me make this clear, because I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying or put words in my mouth. My opinion is, if you feel like an injustice was done to you sexually, you were raped. Period.
Yes.
So now, in the case, Rochelle, right? You're saying I don't have to get drunk to decide that I'm gonna do it, right? But she was drunk, and maybe she was gonna wait till date number 3, date number 4, and he took it at date number 2. What do you? Because women always say a woman know when she gonna give a guy some. Women always say that. So she knew she was gonna give him some. It just wasn't gonna be today. It was probably tomorrow. But she was, you know, inebriated or whatever, and you know it happened. How do you look at that?
Okay, so if you're deciding, okay, date 3, I'm gonna put it on him, right? You don't know what could have happened between date 1 and date 3 to change your mind. Because for a woman, it takes a lot for you to decide yes, but it takes one thing for you to decide no. So the mere fact that it happened the first time and it was while I was drunk, and again, not in my right mind, it is rape. Even though I was planning to put it on him on day 3, but I don't know what could happen on day 2. Day 2, I could have said, oh, nah, I ain't messing with this man none at all. Like, this man is the devil himself. Something could have changed. Something could have happened between date 1 and day 3. So therefore, the mere fact that I was drunk and it happened, it is still rape. Because that was, even though I wanted to do it in the future, because I'm sure that's the reason we're all dating, so that we can move and progress into a relationship. So of course, that's the reason. However, because it did not happen on the time, it is rape. For me, It is rape.
All right. Fair enough. I agree. If I get, go ahead.
I wanna go on. You can.
How do you feel about it? You never mentioned how you feel.
I think that if a guy hears no, he shouldn't take it as
yes.
That's how I feel.
But there's a high likelihood she never said no. I mean, there's a high likelihood that you know, if she's feeling, because they always say alcohol dullens your senses, right? So if in her head she felt like she was going to do it, right, and she's now inebriated, she probably never said no. She probably just looked at it like, oh, what the hell? I'm gonna give it to him anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I agree. No is no.
If she was gonna give it to him date 3, and she gave it to him date 2, maybe that guy, because he got it on date 2, will look at her differently than if he got it on date 3, and she might not get what she wants in the end, which is a relationship. Because yes, some women want to have sex, but the majority of women I know want to be in relationships. You know, they want that one guy to give it to all times. You know what I mean? And so what if she gave it to him too early and now he's like, yo, I got this early, I don't want it no more. Whereas that third date, he would have, you know what I mean, had a different type of connection with her.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think one more date changes your. If you was just gonna have sex with a female and then leave her, one more date ain't gonna change that. And
but what if that one date? What if the difference between that one date was 3, 5, 6 months?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a big difference.
I wanna close up with my closing statement. I wanna say, men, it is completely wrong for you to take what is not yours. And with that also being said, what I would tell my daughter also is this needs to stop a lot. Women going out on dates with men that they don't want to sleep with. That needs to stop completely. Taking things from a guy, because I'm not saying it's right, but do not give the man a leverage to think that you owe him something. You know what I'm saying? That is a big problem too, where women are going out on 10 dates with a guy, 20 dates, and not having sex. And I know, Dre, you say the guy is stupid for doing that when he's not getting it, but I think also it can be dangerous for a woman. Don't get drunk around a man that you don't know like that. You know what I mean? You got to be more precautious. And I get it too. A lot of women ain't even have a father to make them understand that thought. You know what I mean? So it's dangerous out here, and stay protected. Get some pepper spray.
Mace. They have the little taser guns. They sell those on Amazon. You can give somebody one for Christmas. Speaking of that, you can also buy one for me for Christmas as well. Dre and Ali, just throwing that out there in the atmosphere. So, yeah.
How much tasers you want, so? You want every month? Oh, I see what you're doing. I see. You got two daughters. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
No, Rochelle is a hot girl. Rochelle is a hot woman.
No, I'm saying she's telling everybody, so if she get a bunch, she could just give them to her daughters.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing, Rochelle.
And you gotta practice too. You gotta be ready. Just to have it in your bag don't mean nothing. You gotta be ready with it when you walk in late at night. My aunt got raped at 20 years old in an elevator at knife point. My aunt in Queens, and in her 20s. This was in probably the 70s. She got raped by a serial rapist in Queens at the time.
Wow.
And my uncle drove around with her just looking for the man for like the next 3 or 4 days. Yeah, he was so furious, yo. And we got to protect women. Yo, men, y'all need to, you know what I mean? Y'all need to get your together. Stop raping women.
And listen, and I'm not leaving the women off the hook. Women too, because I know you guys don't believe that women can rape, but women are out here raping as well, right? So I don't want to.
Hold on, let me ask you a question. How the body are gonna get hard?
Hold on. Okay, no. Okay, and again, I'm gonna say this. Hold on. Nature or not? First of all, if it doesn't matter, a man is gonna get turned on regardless. But if he says no. Yes.
No.
Ali, scientists
listen, when I'm scared, my body goes to 2 inches.
A lie.
Everything shrivel up. You know, like when you go into the pool and you shrink?
But hold on. What if, listen, women can be very persuasive. I have a gun at your head, but my hands, my mouth can be working, and your body is literally fighting against you.
How are you keeping me at gunpoint if your hand and mouth is working?
It don't matter though. It don't matter though. I tie you up. Okay.
Rochelle,
okay. Hold on. I have you at gunpoint. I tie you up, right? Duct tape you, everything. And I'm doing
then
all. Then
you don't need a gun at that point.
Yeah, but you're still held at gunpoint because you are still taped up and trapped. Okay, so what are you saying?
That is a traumatizing experience. I wouldn't mind experiencing.
Exactly. Like, I'm telling you. Look, there are guys out there.
Unless you can fat me 500 pounds.
And then you're going to hurt me. Now, if you hurt me in the process, then that's egregious. But if I just take you and try to take something from me, yes.
So hold on. So you are saying that men cannot be raped, period. Men cannot be raped.
I'm saying
I disagree.
I am only talking about myself. I'm only talking about myself. Listen, we're cracking jokes here, right?
Yeah,
let me say this. Let me just be clear. So if I'm a police officer and Ali comes in and he tells me Rochelle raped him, right? I'm laughing at Ali while I'm taking his report. Because Ali came to me to report a rape, I'm taking his report because he thought it was serious enough to come to me. But I'm still laughing at him because, like Ali just said, how is it you're gonna get erected, right? If you didn't want it. Now, obviously,
because your body
can happen.
Sometimes your body can betray you. Sometimes your body can betray you.
That's like Norbit and Rasputia.
I know it can happen. I know it can happen because I used to say to myself, and I asked my wife this. I say, "Yo, how is it that you can your vagina gets wet and you have ejaculation when you're being raped?" And it happens. So again, if you don't know, you don't know. But I now know that women that are being raped sometimes have ejaculation and their vagina gets wet and all these different things, which are signs.
Your body betrays you because it's natural. It's a natural response to what is happening to your body. But your mind doesn't want it, and that's the same thing that can happen to a man.
Look, I don't look at it the same. I told you it's a double standard. I told you, and I'm not bashful about the double standard. It's a double standard. I'm gonna look at a guy like a girly man if he comes telling me he got raped.
Cross hangry.
Straight up. Now again, I'm still gonna take it serious. He could be my boy. I'm gonna laugh at him. I'm gonna be like, "Yo, son, you for real, bro? Like that? Like, all right. If you for real, bro, all right." But again, if dude is serious about it, I'm gonna take it serious after I'm done laughing.
Yeah.
But I gotta laugh because it's absurd, in my head.
Now, if she held him at gunpoint and gave him HIV, that's different.
That's a big problem.
So only if he gets the STI, then it's rape. But anything, because but you were enjoying it in the moment, though. Based on what you're saying, if you're enjoying it, that's just a side effect. Then you should be okay with it.
No, that's not what I said. No. That's not what I said. I said if he wanted it, not enjoy. I said if he wanted it, it's not rape. That's what I said. Now, he could have not wanted it, but enjoyed it in the process, which is what I'm saying could happen.
Right.
Most likely would happen.
Yo, I got this crazy movie idea, right? It's about an Uber driver, right? And he is dropping off food, but he's a bicycle Uber driver, not a car. He drops off food, and he meets this beautiful woman that's dropping off food, and he gets the once in a lifetime opportunity where she wants to have sex with him, and how many men would pass that up? And then
that sounds like the beginning of porn, like a porn movie.
Yeah, so yes, it ends up happening that she knocks him out and then ties him up and uses him as a sex slave. So
Rochelle, Redfoot Hefner.
Rochelle, I think we onto something. We might have to write a movie together to show that it's possible, right?
Yeah, right. I don't know if you ever watched Don't Spit on My Grave. Have you ever watched that movie? They did a remake of it recently. I think it was like in the 70s or 80s where this writer, she left the city, she went into the country, and basically these men were like, "Oh, you think you're better than us?" And so all these countrymen, like probably about 5 or 6 of them, they kind of raped her, like all through the night, just terrible ways. And she literally raped them back the same ways. So they thought she was dead because they were about to kill her, and she kind of jumped off into the river. And she literally concocted the worst kind of revenge. So any way that they raped her, she did it back to them, but in the worst way. And in the end, killing like all of them. So, it can happen.
Okay.
Thank goodness I'm married and I am not out there looking for nothing. So all of these craziness Rochelle has in her head is less likely to happen.
Yes.
Well, Rochelle, you didn't give your closing remarks.
So I believe that rape can happen to both male and female, boys and young girls alike. I think your no is your no. And I think even sometimes, even though your body can betray you, if you don't want it mentally and if you're not ready for it physically, then I don't think anybody should go against your wishes and do something to you that will cause you harm. That's my closing statement.
I will finish the way I started. I think that if somebody takes something from you without your consent, it is rape. If someone takes something from you sexually without your consent, it is rape. The other day we were talking, and I think it was Rochelle used the word rape to associate with something, whatever the conversation was, time. And I think because in today's time, right, and I'm becoming Kanye right now, I'm not completing my sentences. In today's time, we are watering down a lot of things that were serious, right? And I believe rape is a serious offense. And I think we did ourselves an injustice by attaching serious concepts to sometimes trivial nuances to seem sophisticated. And I think we did ourselves that same injustice with rape, because I've heard rape be attached to a lot of different things. And because of that, we numbed our minds to the veracity of the concept of rape. That said, again, I'm going to repeat myself. If someone forcibly takes something from you without your consent, forcibly or not, take something from you without your consent, yes, I believe that's rape. It changes if you wanted it. In the case like the 14-year-old boy, if he wanted to have sex with somebody that was older than he was, and that person obliged him, that is not rape. I know the law says so, but to me, in my mind, it's not rape. So if that was my son, I'm going to look at my son and I'm going to say, hey, son, I understand what happened. I understand you wanted it, but I think you should have waited. Right? If it happened to my daughter, I'm taking her to the cop and I'm going to say, hey, he raped my daughter. Again, I know it's a double standard. I'm telling you it's a double standard. But that's just like Ali said, men and women are not the same. There's a consequence for a guy, there's a consequence for a guy that is not the same consequence that it is for a woman. And because I'm protective of women in general, and I hope this protection that I have for women is conveyed or was conveyed in this conversation. I know I said what I said about the 30 years thing, but I am protective of women. And because I am protective of women, if it happened to my daughter, we're going to the cops straight away. Period. Happens to my son, I might look at it a little bit different. And I'm only being honest.
Okay. This was another beautiful episode of Gwan. Nice discussion. Thank you, guys.
Same here, bro.
Yes.
Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, nobody's supposed to touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, my daddy said don't touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, nobody's supposed to touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, my daddy said don't touch me.
Hi there, Pineapple Don here. Do you mind if I come and kick it to talk about something real specific? It's a little thing called privacy. Say nobody's supposed to touch me. You musty, you nasty.
I'ma tell mommy you asked me.
There's really bad people out there and you're really good in here, so ears up. Be aware, don't let him tell you that he cares. Cause he's praying no daddy's there to teach and protect you, just nieces and nephews. This what I've been through, but you don't have to. All you gotta do is scream if he asks you.
Don't touch me, don't touch me. Don't touch me, nobody's supposed to touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me. Don't touch me, my daddy said don't touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me. Don't touch me, nobody's supposed to touch me. Don't touch me, don't touch me. Don't touch me, my daddy said don't touch me.